A jam-packed RAC arena for this top-of-the-table clash. We're in round 7, the final game of the round, as the West Coast Fever host the Melbourne Vixens on Wajak Noongar Budja. That is the lands of the Wajak people, Noongar Nation, and an enormous game coming our way. The Fever undefeated, and they will host a Melbourne Vixens coming off a loss and looking to right their wrongs. So the crowd expected in here today over 11,000, and such respect for First Nations round to want to be here and be a part of a very monumental round of netball. So steady in for a big game coming your way, and we are just about to head down to Centre Court for the First Nations official proceedings.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you please welcome Dr. Richard Wally, OAM, and the cultural performance Nala Ninja, who will perform a Welcome to Country.
Corp Kerala Kaya Wanji, Nunok Jenangan, Wajak Bojangara Mut Bojak Kayawa. Mama Janam Nunok Wabanin, Borin Wabanin Kayawa. Bobodawan Nunok Ward Kolana Karak, Nunok Bojanam Ward, Mama Janam Nunok. We ask a good spirit to keep everyone safe. May this game be a successful game. May all the players be safe, the officials be safe. And at the end of the day, each and every one of us go home safely to our families. Kaiwa. Calling what a ding and a building. Better calling and a better calling and more project is what a good word and we were and were. Nyambe mera nyambe Nyambe mera nyambe nyambe Pula nyonga pula 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 nyonga pula pula Nganmurt boja 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 Nganmurt boja 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 Nyambe mera nyambe 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 mera nyambe Nyambe mera nyambe 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 mera nyambe nyambe Haranje waranje open open waranje ngan borbo yugene waranje
Well, there you have it. What an absolutely moving opening here, and a big thanks to Dr. Richard Wally and the Nalak Nidja group. And there are the Shooting Stars participants, and it's a very important initiative of Glassjar Australia, empowering Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander girls and women across Western and South Australia to make informed choices about their education and employment journey. 9 years involved with Netball WA.
Every girl's endgame is different, and we're here for all of them. That's the Suncorp spirit.
All right, let's take a look at the Woolworths team cards. We haven't got there yet, and we know Caitlin Bassett, that Kelsey Brown comes back into the side, but does she line up?
She doesn't. She's starting on the bench, Sue. As we can see there, Jordan Kransberg, who came on and had such punch and impact in the last match. She's starting at centre. Jess Anstis in at wing defence. Katie-Ann Dehaney, you can see her getting the start at goalkeeper. She had a fantastic match last week. And as we can see, Fran Williams, Olivia Wilkinson and Kelsey Brown starting on the bench.
Well, Dylan McPherson, you spoke about the outs for the Melbourne Vixens. We were expecting a shift in their lineup. Were we expecting this?
Well, it's tried and true for the Vixens in their attacking end. Sophie Garvin, Kira Austin, Hannah Mundy, but this defensive end, what a shake-up. Joe Weston starts at wing defence. Emily Mannix gets the nod at goal defence, and Rudy Ellis up against her former teammate in Fallon Emmard. What a fascinating matchup that will be.
So there's the lineups. Caitlin Bassett, Rudy Ellis getting a look at her old teammate in Fallon Emmard, as we just mentioned. And the crowd certainly starting to get into the swing of things. It's almost like a Coldplay concert in here.
It's amazing. Everyone's got their cameras out. What a fantastic atmosphere. This is a packed stadium. They're excited to see some netball, and what a great match to see these two teams. Top of the table clash. It's going to be an exciting matchup all over the court.
Hey, how does Alice Teague-Neal and Joe Weston go as a head-to-head?
Look, I think Alice Teague-Neal's probably going to have a little bit to prove. Last week she hit the bench for the first time. She was shut down a little bit at times by Latanya Wilson. I think she's going to come out firing, and look, she could have any number of wing defences roll across her this game. She's going to have to be adaptable and flexible out there.
So the Melbourne Vixens make their way onto the court. They are in their First Nations dress as well, and a big shout out to the designer, a proud Kimilaroi woman and artist in Tegan Malcolm, who lives and paints on Wiradjuri country, of course, across in Melbourne. And it's a collaborative process with the Vixens, based on the theme Foundations, and they will get underway with the ball for the first centre pass of this top of the table clash, the last game of round 7, as the Melbourne Vixens and the West Coast Fever go head to head. And the Fever with a solitary goal win against the Thunderbirds last week. The Melbourne Vixens looking to revenge their loss against the Lightning. And of course, we cannot forget the preliminary final in 2023 right here on this court, where the Fever got one up over the Vixens, who get the first score on the board. Beckford, Wayward with Cransberg.
Just a little miscommunication there. I think she thought Cransberg was automatically going to the pocket, and look, she just turns it over. Eyes for the ball, picked up that little tip there, and Fever back on their way.
Beckford working again, this time with Teague-Neal, and straight away you can see the impact. Rudy Ellis has us. Shanice Beckford gets some hang time on Cransberg. Turns quickly, gives Mannix a little one in the head. And the West Coast Fever, in somewhat uncomfortable fashion, find their first goal. Look at the hang time.
It's going to be a fascinating matchup, those two, Shanice and Mannix today. Definitely a big height differential. Mannix obviously with a beautiful long arm. We normally see her back in goalkeeper. It'll be interesting to see how she approaches Shanice Beckford-Chambers, Shanice the zippy goal attack.
The offload to Kira Austin. Melbourne Vixens comfortable working between the two shooters to get to the post. We know how good the Melbourne Vixens have been in the first quarter this season. They haven't lost one yet, Caitlin.
Yeah, that's right. They definitely were threatened last week by the Lightning, but came back to win the first quarter. We see them as such a controlled, consistent side. West Coast Fever will be wanting to come out and hit them hard to start off with.
Maloney and Mundy. Terrific game from Maloney last week, 74 Nissan net points. Of course, Emily Mannix was the star of the show for the Vixens, having a terrific season. Garvin. So an easy road so far for the Vixens to post. Beckford ignores the depth from Teague-Neal, and the hell ball comes her way. And that pleases the coaching staff. Di Honey to the right, the assistant, and of course none other than the great Simone McInnes, OAM, head coach of the Melbourne Vixens. Opens up the far side through Weston. Garvin out. So no one at home in the circle, but they'll find their way eventually. Garvin with the screen. Austin, fingertips, keeps the ball in play.
That was a very fancy pull-in. Interesting to see how Fever defence approach this game. Vixens don't have the traditional holding, posting shooter. They have that moving circle of the two diamonds in Austin and Garvin. They just get that ball moving so quickly down to circle edge.
Well, terrific start for the opposition here in the Melbourne Vixens. A broken centre pass and some speed to burn. 5-2 the score. And in similar fashion, This is how the game opened up for the Fever last week, but Cransburg nails it to foul and Nemad. Mundy. Garvin on the lead and a lovely baseline drive from Austin. Looking very, very like the finesse of the Vixens early in the game, which we're so used to seeing.
Yeah, that's right. I was lucky enough to have a chat to Katie Ann Dehaney during the week, and she said her challenge today is going to be the angles. She knows that Sophie Garvin loves to come out, release out of the goal circle. So what does she do if Sophie comes out?
Dylan McPherson joining us on the sideline. Dylan, Rudy Ellis certainly knows Fowler Nemard's game. Just a little bit of a tussle in the back of play then as we watch what's happening up here for the Vixens. But surely that's going to be an intriguing battle if Ellis gets 60 minutes on the court against Fowler Nemard today.
Intriguing, and you think how much they would have played against each other week in, week out at training, in the training environment. But what I've really enjoyed so far from Mannix and Ellis is they're willing to chop and change who goes out with Shanice Beckford. They're getting great hands over, and, you know, obviously both goalkeepers, so they're comfortable sitting back in the circle. I expect them to try and hunt the pocket and really put the fear of God into Beckford and Teague Neal.
7-5 the score. So blistering pace in this first 5 minutes. Austin with Maloney. How good has she been this year? And not disrespectfully, but in the absence of their former co-captain, Liz Watson.
Wow, that was a huge moment. As we can see, that beautiful tip, the pressure over the shot is what Fever will need to be doing today. Vixens, they don't turn the ball over that often, as we can see here in the Harvey Norman replay. A beautifully timed jump from Dehaney over Garvin, which is really impressive given how close she was underneath the post. They're hard shots to defend.
So they transition and convert the West Coast Fever. Bring themselves back to one behind. A centre pass to follow. Teague Neal, good second phase. The obstruction from Weston and then the footwork on Beckford. So the Vixens, maybe a little get out of jail moment in terms of the speed the Fever had off that centre pass. Garvin, patience to the top of the circle with Maloney. The screen from Austin, clever stuff. Finds herself right under the post in comfortable territory.
You can tell these two shooters definitely have that combination. It's the first year Sophie Garvin has been a Vixen, yet the familiarity she has. Oh! As Katie Ann Dehaney just came out and had a look at that one.
Contact the call. 2-on-1 in the circle for Ariang. She lines up against her former WA Sting teammate in Sophie Garvin, the youngsters that came through together. That's terrific Harvey Norman replay we just saw.
Well, uncharacteristic miss there from Fowler, but she gets her own rebounds and she'll have another shot. Rudy Ellis just really getting in. She's very active early. I think that's definitely going to be her job, try to ruffle the feathers of Fowler Nemard.
Oh, well, the idea was right. You can see Garvin just acknowledge the connection through the eyes were there, but the change of direction from Garvin saw the wayward ball. Fever will go through a long court transition here. Anstis, the captain. Cransburg in those bright coloured socks.
When I saw those socks, I thought of you, Sue. What do you think about them?
You know what? I love that the players are trying to bring their own brand to the game. No qualms. I'm a different person, Caitlin Bassett.
Right. I remember a day where a player got yelled at for wearing bright coloured socks, but that was a long time ago. Anyway, beautiful strong take there from Fowler Nemard, just up and over the top of Emily Mannix, who hits the deck.
Nothing like throwing each other under the bus in commentary, Caitlin. 7:20 to play out in this first quarter. And an expected goal-for-goal battle. West Coast Fever on top of the ladder. Beckford in her first season of Suncorp Super Netball, in and out. Fowler Nemard with the rebound.
There's a lot of pressure over that shot of Beckford's. Emily Mannix, Rudy Ellis both have beautiful long arms. Oh, that was a beautiful pass. Kira Austin did well to get the penalty for that one. I thought Sunday Ariang had just timed that to perfection.
They've had some great battles over the years, those two, Ariang and Kira Austin.
Yeah, have a look at that Harvey Norman replay, just a tiny bit too late. I love the matchup between those two. I think they, skill for skill, they're both patient, they're both calm, they're both hardworking. I think they suit up against each other perfectly.
Maloney at the front, but it's Garvin. And the holding call goes on to Haney under the post.
She was the most penalised person on court last week. She timed it well, though. I thought the physicality that she added to the game was really smart at times, but no doubt those little ones underneath the post, she needs to be smart, especially in the first quarter.
Oh, gee, lovely change of direction from Teague Neal. Puts Fallon Emmard on full stretch, but the champion finds a way. See the stretch there, the left hand goes all the way out on extension. Mundy just rolls off to the top on Anstis. That's a good battle to watch. Penalty count at the moment, 13 with the Vixens, 10 to the Fever. 11 now to the Fever. Beckford, so under good pressure from Mannix.
Those long arms of Mannix, it's just stopping Shanice Beckford piff that ball down really quickly. It's slowing up the timing of the Fever and creating such a huge gap. They can't just release that ball to Fallon Emmard all the time, especially with the height of Ellis, as we hear the hooter for the Power 5.
So 12 apiece. Melbourne Vixens certainly starting the game in true fashion. Straight to the post there. 3-ball play to the post. Garvin, a miss. Good challenge in the air from Ariang. Contact the call. 5 from 7 for Garvin. No goal. Set the penalty. Oh, Jean, a miss. Austin, though, into super shot range. Well, this will be a great return if it falls, and it does for the Melbourne Vixens. The first Suncorp super shot of the game. Of course, $100 for every one of those donated to the Confident Girls Foundation. A break for the Melbourne Vixens. Oh, Mannix! Absolutely brilliant cross-court intercept.
That was a ball that hung in the air for so long. She had plenty of time. She attacked it perfectly. What a win for the Vixens, but they've turned it over. This is, I think, what Vixens struggle without Kate Eddy. She is such a good player in bringing that ball to transition. She's there on the line as a backup if she needs to.
So Fowler, Nemmard offloads to Beckford. She's been under real pressure from Emily Mannix. Off this, have a look. Terrific Harvey Norman replay. Defenders love a cross-court ball. Mundy, depth, second phase. Oh, the Melbourne Vixens look good early here. Austin goes for a second, and comfort to the post for Kira Austin. Suncorp super shot number 2 drops for her. Not a miss from the Australian Diamond as yet.
She loves those super shots. She's so competent as well, just taking them, turning, plenty of time up her sleeve. Will this put the pressure on Fever? Will Beckford try and shoot one as well?
Has to go over the big arms of Rudy Ellis. And the smallest on the court takes the biggest shot of all. Suncorp super shot to the Fever. 2:40 to play out in the opening quarter of First Nations round. In a terrific round of netball. Oh, perfection. Absolute perfection.
That's a matchup they need to exploit as well. Anytime Sunday Ariang gets caught back against Sophie Garvin, it's a good opportunity to put that ball. Sophie Garvin, known for her beautiful strong holds to the post.
Teague Neal finding her way to the top of the circle. Offloads to Beckford, who gets 2 in a row. Suncorp super shot drops again.
Well, the Vixens have never lost the first quarter. Do you think Fever know that?
Oh, this is interesting, isn't it? Even if it's a draw, their perfect record will be broken. Garvin wants to change that. Lining up, falls short. Strong rebounding position from Sunday Ariang. So West Coast Fever have a moment here to get their nose in front. That hasn't happened in this quarter. Kransberg with depth. Fallon Emmart steps in. Big reach from Ellis, but it doesn't worry the Jamaican superstar. West Coast Fever sneak in front. Beckford with depth. Quick offload. Teague Neal goes again. Looking for number 3. The confidence is up.
How can she even see the goal over the reach of Maddox? Dan Ryan, coach, is loving that one. As we can see in background play as well, Fran Williams coming on for Katie Ann Dehaney in goalkeeper, and I think that's a really smart switch. She's leading the rebounds. She's one of the highest leading rebounders in the league at the moment, as Sophie Garvin just pops for an easy one under the post.
To the difference, 45 on the clock. Opening quarter, big crowd in at RAC Arena. West Coast Fever for their 3rd home game in a row. Beckford squished to the sideline. Good defence pressure here from Vixens. That's even better pressure. Look at Ariane put right to the far side of the court. Weston the contact though. Oh gee, not again. 4 in a row for Beckford. Caitlin Bassett, the Suncorp super shot drops for the 28-year-old.
I think the crowd here absolutely love that as well. Fever just have their noses in front now by 4 goals. They're forcing Vixens to respond. What can Kira Austin do?
Needs this for the Melbourne Vixens. It falls short. Garvin. That'll count right on the siren, but the Melbourne Vixens will head to the break, having lost their first quarter so far this season. And of course, it's against the West Coast Fever, who lead at the end of the first break 22-19.
Quarter. We know it's going to be a grind goal for goal. The biggest growth area for us as a team at the moment is our grip moments. All right, so only sitting at 40% grip moments converted. There's our next step. All right, so everyone stay with it because we are getting those opportunities, and then we step up together for those 2-goal runs. All right, well done, guys. Great start. Awesome work.
Well, absolute positivity coming from Dan Ryan, the coach of the Fever. It's a 22-19 start to them. Certainly a confident start. There's a look at the First Nations dress for the Fever. A shout out to contemporary Aboriginal artist Jalaga Murray from Jalaga Designs. Created a piece that's called Spirit of the Fever. And of course the players again wearing their dresses through this First Nations round across all 8 clubs with absolute pride. As the captain Jess Anstis makes her way back out onto the court. What about Jordan Kransberg? Getting the nod for the starting 7, her first start in Suncorp Super Netball history. And Caitlin, I should say, there is something very different to starting a game of netball as opposed to entering it from the bench.
Yeah, there is. It is a different mentality. You can't sit back and watch and see what's going on and then impact on court. You have to know what's going on straight away. You have to have your head in the game early. She's got a really tough matchup against the experienced Vixens captaining Kate Maloney tonight, but I've been impressed with Jordan Kransberg so far this season.
So Mannix, big weight on her shoulders, isn't it? Continue to turn ball over. And Shanice Beckford, 4 super shots to her name from 5 attempts. And I thought Mannix had the better of her through the first 10 minutes, but she lit it up, didn't she, in that final 5. Fallon Emmart sitting on 42.5 Nissan net points in just 1 quarter. Best on the court. So the second quarter of action now underway. And a quick glance across the court. Sides remain unchanged. Fallon Emmart, 100% accuracy from her last week. Already the 1 miss. Mundy off the circle, just has to go back to Mannix at the line. Fever defence, impressive out the front. Just clever.
Yeah, they did a really good job of keeping the Vixens off the circle edge there, and Sophie Garvin forced to pop out multiple times. No easy access to the circle edge, so Fever doing a wealth of work in defence. Oh, Mannix having a little go at that one, just a bit too late, but the risk she took has actually created a turnover further down court. Shanice Beckford with the loose hands over the baseline.
Let's get down to Dylan, the Melbourne Vixens camp. How was their huddle at the quarter break?
Smo McInnes really happy with their start, and you know, whilst they lost that first quarter for the first time, why wouldn't she be there? Just wanting Weston and Maloney to sit off a little bit, try and get into that box-light structure that we see a lot from the Vixens and Victorian netball, and really keen to make Shanice Beckford shoot in this first 10 minutes. She didn't put a shot up in the first 10 in the first quarter. 4 from 5 super shots though, so not a bad return. So expect a couple of defensive patterns to change here for the Vixens.
Good on you, great insights, Dylan, from you from our quarter time. Brought to you by Origin Energy. 2 goals the difference here. Maloney looks, doesn't like anything. Gee, toys, but it's a contact on Ariang. So Sunday, Ariang, 6 penalties to her name at the moment. Joe Weston with 8 and Alice with 6. The 3 with the biggest numbers in that department. Beckford around the back to Kransberg. And then the clever, well, Mannix went out looking.
Yeah, that's the challenge. You go out looking, but you leave your mate home alone, and that's exactly what happened. Ellis had to deal with 2 shooters, and one of them was Fallon Emmard, so made to pay for having a risk there, as we can see. Kate Maloney just using the ball to balance on the edge of the circle. Very fancy by her.
Swing to the top for the Melbourne Vixens, so using their triangles well. And they find their way in. West Coast Fever, so both sides just settling a little bit here. Kransberg waits. Gee.
Contact goalkeeper.
The 2 defenders sitting on Fallon Emmard, but the confidence from Kransberg to still go.
Yeah, that's right. She drew the penalty there. She forced that ball. She could have faked it. It would have left Shanice Beckford home alone under the post, but the confidence to give that ball and know that Fallon Emmard's going to snap it in strongly. As we can see here on the Harvey Norman replay, a bit of a sandwich, but she managed to get the penalty, and as the ball goes out of court down the other end, Hannah Mundy to take the throw in.
Deflection it was from the captain of the Fever, Anstis. Now into Austin. Steadies Kira Austin. Tracking beautifully. 9 straight goals to her name in that 1 point.
Contact wing attack.
Oh, offensive contact there from Alice Teague-Neal. Just running through her player.
Her player being Joe Weston.
Yeah, well, Joe Weston, I mean, and Joe Weston, who loves a push and shove herself, so I'm sure she would respect that. Can't wait for the next play to go down there.
Chance to level the score here under Austin. Surely doesn't miss this one. So the Melbourne Vixens start this quarter 5-3, get the score back to level. Mannix off the back, the contest from Dehaney. The crumbs to Mannix to Weston. Oh, gee. The Melbourne Vixens, brilliant in pickups and proved just that then. Maloney. Had to put that right out into the space for Garvin to get, so they fought hard for that centre pass, the Melbourne Vixens, and get their nose back in front after leading a good portion of the first quarter. Teague-Neal.
Contact on the ball.
Well-placed ball.
Beside the goal defence. Beside. Step back beside the goal defence.
All right, just set the penalty. Pretty simple. Weston. Yeah, Garvin in the middle. On 1 foot on the feed, though. Simone McInnes will like that. Austin working the ball around to Mundy. Quick offload.
Loves a bounce pass, does Kira Austin. And the way she stepped around the player, delivered that. She had that front cut going. It gave her the space to take that goal nicely.
Big high release from Beckford to Fallon Emmard. They'll have done that thousands of times before. Austin, middle corridor, lovely second phase depth to Mundy. Oh, gee.
That was very sneaky. Just Sophie Garvin just opened up that baseline, saw Kira Austin coming along. And it was a really smart pass because we know the range that Katie Ann Dehaney has. She just managed to avoid the hands by sneaking in a bounce pass.
Well, I think Austin's having an absolute blinder of a start to the game. And just as I speak, picks up, had 8 turnovers last week. However, had 3 gains, 2 intercepts and 1 deflection. So she may have thrown the ball away, but she is exceptional when it comes to getting it back.
Contact, wing defence.
Garvin just
Goal
pops
defence,
through.
Contact, step up.
The Fever defence, they've been good this season, but they are
Vixens.
having a real battle here with this Melbourne Vixens attack line. Vixens now leading by 2 halfway through this second quarter. Hope you're enjoying First Nations round. The Fever have called their first HCF tactical timeout of the game. Dan Ryan straight to Sunday Ariang. Let's listen in.
Take a breather, Joyce, and Fran into keeper. Right, come in nice and close, guys. Just really important here that I want to pick up the full court team defence, all right? So Alice and Shan, make sure no easy releases on the back. Right, really try and create some 5 on the ball to get our full team connected here. Really important. And then same thing on the flip side, try and get our punch to transverse line for resets if we need to in attack, all right? But keep our vision forward, don't shy away from game plan. In a contest, be absolutely okay with it. All right, let's go. Well done.
Embrace the contest. That's what I love to hear. Vixens are doing a fantastic job of just muscling in, about shutting down and shutting everything short, but Dan Ryan asking for a full 7-court defence from his players to kick off the back half of this quarter.
So the Melbourne Vixens, 10-5 this quarter. They've caught the Fever napping. As Rudy Ellis heads back out to meet her opponent, Fowler Nemmart, and Jordan Kranzberg will take a rest as we welcome back Kelsey Brown. Been away for the last couple of weeks with that knee injury. See the impact that she potentially can have here for the Fever. Haney also swaps with Fran Williams. Straight down to, oh gee, a little hand from Beckford. Crumbs, the chase, Mannix beats Fowler Nemmart. So they'll have to work their way from the back here.
Contact, centre.
Weston, swing to Mannix. So plenty of space here, but they're held up, the Vixens. Garvin out. To the top. Mundy, such a threat. Actually, the Vixens, such a threat at the top of that circle. So a lovely return end to end as we go down to Dylan McPherson inside the Vixens tactical timeout.
Fascinating stuff from Simone McInnes. She was preempting the moves that Dan Ryan was going to make, both the change with Kelsey Brown and also some of their structures and patterns. So great coaching insight from her, but just urging Kira Austin to stay on task, keep putting her shots up, knows that she's having a great game and really expecting Ariang to take her on. So I'm fascinated to see that play out for the next couple of minutes.
The Vixens hugging this right side of the court and then a terrific offload over the top to find Austin. So again, the Vixens playing with real assertive confidence in this attacking line. West Coast Fever having to find the return, and it's not to be. Not necessarily the defensive pressure then of the Vixens.
No, just the patience. I think Shanice Beckford wanted to get that ball moving a little bit too quickly. She could have played it back. There was options back on the line, but the pressure here from the Fever to win this ball back is impressive. Every single player up and in front, forcing the Vixens to throw a high ball, which Sunday Ariang says, nom, 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 mine.
That's what Dan Ryan asked for. Brown. Good release. Oh, yeah, clever stuff by Joe Weston. Looking with eyes on the ball. Great defensive pressure here, the Vixens. It's the contact call, though, that releases the pressure. I thought they had the Fever attack here in some trouble. Beckford over the top of Rudy Ellis. Slots in her first one-pointer for the game. 4 super shots otherwise.
No one at home for the Vixens. Both shooters outside the circle until the one-on-one opens up underneath the post. But when you have 2 shooters outside the circle, it really is an opportunity to keep them there. I want to see the Fever defenders work their way around and really force them up high.
Well, adversely, the Vixens defence cover. The West Coast Fever. Brown with Teague Neal. Fowler certainly not in range as far as her one-point choice. We'll find space here to step in. A 13-8 quarter at the moment. Melbourne Vixens certainly turning their form around here in the second. What confidence from Joe Weston to go straight down the guts to Sophie Garvin.
That was beautiful vision. Joe Weston loves the goal assist, whether she's in wing defence or goal defence, and that one just opened up in front of her eyes. She let it go perfectly.
Teague Neal. Those hands of Joe Weston certainly having impact out the front. Good contest from Alice, but strength from Fowler Nemard.
That play opened up Shanice Beckford. She took the ball, she played it, and she used her speed and get in front, which opened up the back to Fowler Nemard.
Oh, Mundy, how impressive first phase drive. Takes the contact, gets moving, and the Vixens powering here in attack. Right on the Power 5 siren, having a terrific opening second quarter here. Hannah Mundy taking herself up to 35.5 Nissan net points. A little easier that time for the Fever. Mundy and Garvin. So again, the right-hand side of the court. That's where the Vixens seem to want to play this game. And then over the top to Sophie Garvin. Not a huge, tall athlete, but just power and athleticism off the ground, Garvin. Here's the breakdown for the Vixens. Maloney doesn't like it. Contact the call. Brown. Into the top range. 8 from 11 so far this season. That one off. Rebound. Alice swings it back to the lady that shot 4 and goes for number 5. Suncorp super shot drops. Shanice Beckford sending a message.
That really is her range, isn't it? That super shot wide arc, as we can see. Vixens, they're just getting the ball down court so quickly. Kira Austin fighting for that front position.
The return from Kira Austin never looked like missing. She is just calm personified, that girl. Never looks flustered. And then straight into the hands of Maloney. So Shanice Beckford has thrown away a couple. General play turnovers, not a couple. That's her 8th.
Yeah, and really uncharacteristic. The Fever this entire season have been so tight and so patient with ball in hand, but they are currently sitting 10 general play turnovers to the Vixens 3.
Oh, gee, look at that. Well, I've just looked over to the bench and on cue, Dan Ryan giving young Olivia Wilkinson the nod. So Wilkinson moves in to the sub box while the Vixens stretch the lead out down to the right of screen with 2:38 on the clock to play. Terrific second quarter return for them. Wilkinson to Fowler Nemard. I reckon she was hoping for an advantage call on that.
Contact, wing defence.
Teague Neal. Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? As good as Beckford's been in the 2, she's been costly throwing ball away.
That's right, when you've got a talent like Olivia Wilkinson, who's going for this 2-point. Oh, she nails it! Her first shot on court, and she gets a 2-pointer. The confidence to bring her on, she is a great player. She didn't hit the court last week, so she'll be fresh as a daisy, and I think the impact she can have on this game now is huge.
Well, the directness to the post gives the thumbs up from Sophie Garvin. She returns to Perth as a WA athlete and is thoroughly enjoying the first half of netball here. Wilkinson shot that Suncorp super shot a moment ago. The swing, Teague Neal. Wilkinson draws the contact on Mannix. Mum and Dad in the crowd watching today. Over from Melbourne. As we should mention, Wilkinson, a Victorian pathway product. Garvin, a West Australian pathway product on opposing sides.
Imagine if we played State of Origin, so
oh,
yeah, I would love it as well. I think it would be fantastic. Sophie Garvin, such a strong take. Her and Fran Williams really going head for head for anything that's in the air at the moment.
Whole time, step one step with the keeper.
Well, the Vixens continue to march forward here in the second. A 22-goal quarter. That's equal to what the Fever put up in their first. But a chance to beat that here off the hands. Austin wants Garvin forward. Contact on Kelsey Brown. Swing. Opens the width to Maloney. So 23 goals this will be. And the biggest quarter return so far this game. Now to the Vixens. 23 seconds on the clock. The West Coast Fever will want to find a goal here. Fallon Emmard looks around and says, I better do the job myself. Big rebound from Ellis.
Huge rebound from Ellis. She tried to have a go at that ball before. She didn't make it. She blocked out strongly and the ball's flying down court. Kira Austin has the shot.
Well, gee, it could have been an even bigger moment for the Melbourne Vixens. Fell short for Kira Austin, but they won't care. That is a terrific quarter from a side that got beaten last week and were not happy about it against the Lightning. They are down Kate Eddy, they are down Zara Walters. Have a look at the smiles on their face. First Nations round continues here in Perth, and the halftime score sitting at 36-42. And those pictures on the screen, I'm going to tell you a little number. 11,119 fans in the house at RAC Arena. This is the biggest home regular season crowd ever for the West Coast Fever. So a big shout out to all involved. And it's always a party here at the rack. Caitlin Bassett, but a bigger one. And I think what's great about it is people respecting First Nations round, coming out and supporting it to, I guess, make a statement of how important it is.
It is, and you know, the teams have such beautiful dresses. The design, everything that's gone into this week in the lead up to this round is absolutely amazing. And these 11,119 people are going to need to get up and about because the Fever are down by 6 goals coming into this third quarter.
Well, we took you through all of the talk at the halftime show thanks to Origin, and what we said was that the West Coast Fever needed to find a way to stop this purring Melbourne Vixens attack. They have been slick and super impressive, and they open up, well, just about this third quarter off the hands of Sophie Garvin, who has 24 to her name now, and ticking along beautifully in the net points department as well. There's the shooting stats, 86%. What about Austin at 94%? Let's get straight down to the head coach of the West Coast Fever, Dan Ryan. And again, in a bit of an uncomfortable predicament here, Dan. Thoughts on the game so far?
I think we started really well, but that second quarter was definitely the worst we've put out so far this season. So the group's pretty determined to get themselves back on track, and we've got to embrace this contest. It's what it's all about.
What's the fix, Dan? Where are things breaking down for your side?
Oh, well, I think first and foremost, defensive impact has to start. We had 0 opportunities to win ball off them in that second quarter, so that certainly doesn't help. And our centre pass in that second quarter was down in the 60s, so not for standard for us, but 30 minutes is a long way to go, and we'll back ourselves to chip away.
Kelsey Brown back off the court. I saw the strapping has come off her knee at halftime. Is she okay?
Yep, all good. Just had to have a quick taste, and she's ready to go if we need her again.
Good on you, Dan. All the best. Get back into a big game for you.
Cheers.
So Beckford has to go back to the line. Great vision from Kransberg. Threads the needle, and the second miss of the game for Fallon Emmard. She's only had 8 misses leading into the start of the season. Kelsey Brown looking on. So by all accounts, good to go if needed. It's her 10th miss of the season, Fallon Emmard. Almost a shock. Mundy, pocket, great offload. Real confidence, isn't it, to go over the top of this Fever defence at the moment.
That's right. I think the matchup for me, I think what really needs to step up is Sunday Ariang's work on Kira Austin.
Offensive contact on Ellis.
Well, a win for Rudy Ellis. Yeah, a win for Rudy Ellis. She's got a tough task. She's forced a miss from Fallon Emmard. She gets it back. She says, I don't think so. I'll get that tip.
Well, that's the first intercept to Fallon Emmard this season. And Rudy Ellis, well, had a good moment just before, but the Vixens, they had their moment spoiled by this Harvey Norman replay. Garvin, quick hands. Austin finding her way to get to the top, steadies and just slots it. At the moment, the Vixens attack don't look at all phased in terms of their shot at post. And There's our miss and net points. Oh no, sorry, that's our goal score, total scores. Fowler, Nemmard and Garvin sharing it at 25 apiece.
Yeah, but have a look there, Austin. She's sitting on 21. She's really doing a huge load and contributing to this Vixens attack end as well. I would love to see Shanice Beckford get more ball in hand in the circle and really take that pressure off Fowler, Nemmard. But Sophie Garvin, as we can see, a beautiful hold. When she gets Dehaney on her back, it's really hard to stop that one.
Yeah, been very, very good so far has Garvin. Beckford back onto the court.
Contact, goalkeeper. Keeper, step up.
So another contact to the Melbourne Vixens defence. And the goal will drop. Kate Maloney continuing to lead here as the captain in centre. Patience from Western. Garvin again on the lead. And the shooter-to-shooter works for the Melbourne Vixens. They just surged themselves closer to the post. Big rebound from Garvin. And it's as if the West Coast Fever defence can't find a way here, Caitlin.
Well, they can't because there's no high balls being forced. There's nothing specky for them in the air. As we see down the other end, West Coast Fever have a licence to lift that ball into Fowler, but there's nothing going the way that can give Fever an opportunity. They really need to step up. They need to create some ball, lift some ball to give their defenders a go in the air.
Austin has to work with Maloney off the circle. There's Garvin again, just releasing the pressure. Too much on that one. Keeps it in play. Not to be, but it was a great fight from Garvin. So a first impact moment here for the Fever defence. Swinging to Anstis, out wide. Teague opening up nice and high though.
Contact, wing attack.
12 general play turnovers to the 6. Fever on the bad end of the stick. Teague Neal. So good defensive play. They haven't allowed the West Coast Fever to fly through court somehow. Twisting and turning is Fowler Nemmard. Gee, the body felt it.
Her balance is absolutely incredible. Not just to pull that ball in, but then to stop steady and deliver the goal. She makes it look so easy.
Little bounce pass to Beckford. Fake from Beckford. Steadies, goes high. Good defensive play from Mannix.
Goalkeeper contact.
And Rudy Ellis. 11 penalties now. Really not that much. It's been a reasonably clean game, 40 to 38. Of obstructions. Austin. Let's get across to Dylan McPherson. Dylan, the defence here for the West Coast Fever under some pressure adversely. You look at the Melbourne Vixens and they're getting in and amongst everything and creating some great opportunities.
Fascinating, isn't it? I think what we're seeing from the Vixens this week is a real masterclass. Garvin has come out on the last about 3 times this quarter and fed Austin under the post, and it's probably a structure that Fever aren't familiar with, training against that big, tall holding shooter. Whereas at the other end, I think defensively, the Vixens just doing such a good job hedging and sitting in space, confusing the feed. And then we get to see Joe Weston, as Jess Anster says, I'm the captain and I'll take that back. But the Vixens just really confusing the Fever feed and the flow that they've got in this attack end.
Outside the circle.
So a 9-8 start to the West Coast Fever this quarter. 23-14 was your second quarter that turned this game on its head. Now starting to chip back here, the home side. Enjoying Joe Weston at wing defence, giving Australian Diamonds coach Stacey Marinkovic another couple of tools to consider. Back to the line. Out wide, Maloney. Nice little fake and change of direction from Austin. The give and go into the post. Cool as a cucumber. Offload to Garvin, and the Vixens continue. You'd be sitting at home as a Melbourne Vixens fan enjoying this at the moment. Push off, yes it was.
And she's not happy about that one, Fowler Nemmard. She says, no, she pushed me, but it's going both ways in that circle at the moment. Rudy Ellis, let's go, a long ball. And And the Fever, they managed to come up with that one. Jess Anstis really put her body on the line against Mundy. She's having a fantastic captain's game.
Really interesting Harvey Norman replay. Answers to the ball. Alice, it was off her hands, and she straight away looked at her head coach in Simone McInnes and then says, do you know what? I'm going to do everything to get the ball back. And did just that. And that is all you can ever ask for from your athlete. We'll make mistakes, but when you work hard to get it back, that's what counts. So the Vixens, Austin just pauses. Mundy, top of the circle. A little tip from Ariang. So a couple of defensive moments, should you say, for the Fever just coming into play here. 6:25 on the clock.
I think we're used to calling Ariang's name so often. She gets tips, she gets deflections, she gets intercepts. She's been quiet this game, not because she's not having an impact. As that ball is forced out over the baseline, Fever win it back. But I think it's because she's doing that really grind hard work.
Let's get down to Dylan.
Just watching this Vixens three-court attack when they're winning ball at the moment, Sue, it looks like they're really struggling to get over that first transverse line. They're sort of getting a bit too much depth. Their wing attack and goal attack can't punch up the court, and Simone McInnes is really giving some instructions from the sideline, bearing in mind, as Caitlin said earlier, that normally that's Kate Eddy's job, so they're really going to have to improve that because ball is very hard to come by against the West Coast Fever.
Well, imagine adding Kate Eddy back into this performance at the moment. Swing to Teague Neal. Pushing for front position was Beckford, but they take the over. Or the offload to the top for Fallon Emmard, often the road. The Fever approach with 5:36 for the difference. Goal assists, Mundy. Been insane. There she is. Working off the circle here, so a little bit better defensively for the Fever. Just putting a bit more pressure and asking the Vixens to play this ball around a little bit more. Garvin. Contact on the outside. Kransberg. High ball. Strong from Garvin. Oh, clever stuff right on the Power 5 siren. Austin will put herself in more comfortable position. And off the back. So a little moment here for the Fever. Kelsey Brown rolls onto the court, so nothing wrong with the knee restrapped. Teague Neal out wide, got a little tap on the hand and the ball goes to Mundy. So the Vixens get ball back and maybe just a chance to settle here. Anstis is down. Gee, it's all happening.
Everybody's hitting the deck. There's so many bodies flying. Everyone's trying to win ball, and as we can see there, Garvin just sets a settler there, keeps the Vixens in front.
5-5. Great pressure keeping Fever off the circle edge, forces the Jamaican goal shooter out of the circle in Fallon Emmard. Back to the line. Pressure from Vixens. And then forced to take the one were the West Coast Fever. So a terrific moment for the Melbourne Vixens. This is an undefeated West Coast Fever. On the road for the next 2 weeks to face the Lightning and then again the Thunderbirds. Ariang.
Every pass they do in the circle gives Fever an opportunity to get hand to ball. I would have loved Garvin just to turn and shoot that. We know she can shoot from long range. She just provided that opportunity for Fever to get a hand in.
To the top, little hand from Dehaney, contact though, so we call it the sweet spot. I'll see if it's true. It is. Suncorp super shot. Punches the scoreline back out to 6. Melbourne Vixens putting the Fever under pressure. 3 minutes to play out in this third. Here's your super shots. Over the top of Alice, the swing to Beckford. Already has 5 of these. This one doesn't drop, and a big offensive rebound.
Oh, and a turnover for the Vixens. Interesting to see that Fallon Emmard didn't shoot that one. And, you know, if you're a Vixens defender at the moment, anytime Shanice Beckford gets it in the 2-point shot, you would say, don't obstruct, put a big hand over, and then try and get a rebound.
Well, they're in the head here of the Fever. The Vixens. Back to the line. Contact the call on Teague Neal. The pressure in the circle. Austin comes out to release it. I tell you what, this is a taxing and fatiguing game. We've still got 15 minutes of netball left, and these players look out on their feet.
It's because the intensity is just so high. Everyone's grinding. No one's giving each other an inch. There haven't been specky intercepts. There haven't been, you know, huge long bombs into the circle. They've been chipping it away. There's been a million passes, and that is hard work.
Minute 50 to close out this third quarter. Here's your breakdown. Fever opened up well. The Vixens returned play, and they've now returned serve in this third quarter, leading 14-12 and stretching out their lead. Last three their way, Rudy Ellis. Well, that was absolute brilliance from the goalkeeper. Another cross-court ball. They return through the court, and Sophie Garvin. Well, get up off your couch, Melbourne Vixens fans, if you're not already. Blistering away here in the second and the third. And 11,000 fans. Not sure what to do.
Check out that Harvey Norman replay. Ellis having a night against her old team, the West Coast Fever. She knows the way to win ball against Fallon Embard is to get out of the circle and pick it up before it comes close.
Again, strength around the circle edge between Maloney and Mundy. Just able to hold strongly and cleanly. Garvin, simple one, rotates around. They'll look for Austin. Why bother? Take the one and put the scoreline up to 10, the difference. What an intriguing turnaround this has been for the Melbourne Vixens. No Kate Eddy, no Zara Walters, and they have the West Coast Fever in all sorts of pain.
Well, West Coast Fever have never lost a third quarter, so this is new territory for them as well. They normally come out of the halftime break with new energy and just different tactical nous, but they're really struggling against the Vixens, who are just nullifying everything they put out there on court.
Well, they've had some terrific battles throughout the years, these two sides. We go back to the preliminary final last year, and the Vixens season was ended by the team in green. They'll have 4 seconds to go big and long here. Katie Ann Dehaney causes a contact, and things just not going right for the Fever today. To make this even more painful, a big long bomb. Well, it doesn't fall, but the Melbourne Vixens will take their way off the court with their shoulders back, an 11-goal lead, and they have set themselves up for a terrific final quarter and to beat an undefeated West Coast Fever. Don't go anywhere, the final 15 right after this. Well, the West Coast Fever in very unfamiliar territory. Let's get straight down to Dylan McPherson, because Dylan, Dan Ryan is trying to solve the hardest puzzle he's had this season.
Absolutely, Sue. We're going to see some big changes from the Fever. It looks like Wilkinson to goal attack. Jess Anster slides into centre. Ariang slides across to wing defence, and Fran Williams onto GD. They're just urging them to get to circle edge in attack. They want that feed to be perfect to Fowler, and Dan Ryan really challenging Fever here. This is a moment in time where they can test how good they really are, and these changes are an opportunity to shake it up and give Vixens something different to look at. I'm very excited. I've got my popcorn ready to go.
Well, you have some insight into that training environment. This lineup right now, would you have expected maybe this a little earlier, or thoughts?
Potentially. I think that Fran Williams had an absolutely outstanding game last week in goal defence, but, you know, Sunday Ariang is one of the best GDs in the world. What I like about this now is they've done it for the last few weeks. Anstis has probably trained through centre a little bit more with Kelsey Brown out, so it probably is quite familiar to them, and I think it'll give them a bit of confidence, you know, change it up and just see how they go. A little bit caution to the wind in this 15 minutes.
So 48-59 the scoreline, an enormous, I'm going to say, a mountain of work for Fever to do, and I'll tell you why, Caitlin Bassett, because they're a clinical Vixens. This isn't a side that's been making lots of errors. It's not to say that this is not doable. I'm not writing this game off by any means, but the West Coast Fever are really being asked to do something very special here.
Yeah, that's right. They really have to start creating some opportunities before it gets too late, because we know how damaging Kira Austin can be, and Sophie Garvin in the super shock period.
So the game gets underway. The changes for the Fever. And the reason why they're in so much pain is there is a number of players from the Vixens that have really stepped up today. Kira Austin in particular, averaging 53 Nissan net points a game, currently sitting at 98. Huge. Mundy above her season average.
Yeah, and it's interesting because West Coast Fever have put out all 10 of their players so far. They've been rolling through changes, as we can see them pick up a much-needed ball. Fran Williams in goal defence already causing some chaos, but Vixens have stuck with their starting 7. They don't really have as much luxury to pull the changes as West Coast Fever do.
Olivia Wilkinson hustling past Mannix. Fowler Nemard, unlike the distance, so the Vixens defence will have to work again. Through the 20-year-old in Wilkinson. And the first 2 of the game to the West Coast Fever. And if they're going to make inroads, they probably want to do as much as they can early. Ariang under pressure to Teague Neal. Again, Rudy Ellis, that's been a great battle against former teammate Fowler Nemard. Rudy Ellis just being told, got contact with her body on Fowler Nemard. So 3 in a row, Fever. Mundy forced out wide, better defence here. Back to the line. The front cut from Maloney works with Austin. Free range here they go with a bit of ball momentum, and it opens up Sophie Garvin. So they've been able to find their way, and I feel like it's Austin that's on the string of anything that works well today.
Yeah, that's right. She really is so good at setting up play. She just takes the ball, she works, she goes again, she plays it back. She's not doing nothing fancy out there. She's just chipping away, but it's creating opportunities and movement in the Vixens attack line.
Obstruction wing defence, well, it's obstruction wing defence, but Wilkinson took it inside the circle. Doesn't matter, the Fever take the goal.
I think Olivia Wilkinson is a great change here. I think the height that she brings against Mannix, it's just something different for them to think about. We know how confident she is with the 2-point shot, but I think just the ability for her to see over the high hands of the Vixen defenders is going to help the Fever this quarter.
Contact on Anstis, quick hands, the 1-2, the 1-2, the 1-2 with Garvin. Is there a 3? And it goes straight in. So the Melbourne Vixens, a little slower in their start to this final quarter. West Coast Fever finding a way. Jess Anstis, the captain, spent a bit of time in the centre last week. Certainly showing her versatility this season. To Garvin, strong lead. Oh, Williams out hunting.
That was smart. That was a really good ball to go for. Vixens have been playing to the ball to the top of the circle the entire night, and finally she read that one. Just a second too late, unfortunately.
Oh, clever from Austin. Even though she potentially put Sophie Garvin in a bit of an uncomfortable position.
Look at that challenge from Fran Williams. She's so frustrated she didn't get that one, but what a great opportunity. And will Vixens put the ball in that spot next time they go down court? I don't think so.
So the ball won't be out of court. It's actually a contact call on Emily Mannix. It's the 47-42. And it has been a really great contest here today. Both coaches. Simone McInnes will be thrilled with the response. Dan Ryan, adversely, having to try and solve the form line here of his team, the West Coast Fever. Maloney out wide with Austin. And now the contact call, so plenty of whistle just coming into this last bit of play at both ends of the court. There's 5 minutes just about gone. Maloney out to Austin. Been good, doesn't matter that it's only a 1-point shot. Goes again, quick 1-2. Mid-range, up over Dehaney. And Kira Austin, 17 straight goals and 4 from 7 in the super shot at 57% from the 2 points. Fowler Nemard with Olivia Wilkinson. Somewhere how? Rudy Ellis shaking her head. Why am I on the floor? that second phase ball to Mundy under pressure.
Yeah, Dehaney came out probably a little bit too early, made it really obvious she was chasing that ball on the angle. Mundy, for me, tonight, super impressive. She's missed a couple of games this season due to a quad injury. Without Liz Watson in that attacking end, I think she's just growing into that wing attack position every time she plays.
Well, she's alongside none other than Kate Maloney, flying with just half a point shy of 100 Nissan net points, Dylan.
Outstanding, isn't it, from Kate Maloney? And as a former mid-quarter myself, sometimes we get overlooked, you know, but she is having an absolutely stunning game. 2 intercepts, she's leading the feeds, she's leading the net points, and that's what you want from a captain after a loss. She's really stood up today and I think is controlling that end alongside Kira Austin and ably assisted by Mundy and Garvin. They've been outstanding, this Vixens attack line.
Now, Nissan net points powered by E-Power. Some players certainly ranking them up here today. Circle feeds. Wilkinson goes again, works off the 2-on-1 inside the circle. The attention. Eventually Ellis comes out to Wilkinson, opens up Fowler Nemart.
Wilkinson doing a power of work then. She caught about 6 balls before it managed to get to the circle edge. So she's more than happy to do the work and chip away before they can open up to Fowler Nemart.
Jo Weston, so good at wing defence today. Again, the workload she knows she has to pick up in the absence of Eddie. Shout out to Kate at home. And then again, Kira Austin. Like, has she worked up a sweat? And I mean that nicely.
She's one of those annoying players that just looks so relaxed out there on court. She's one of the hardest workers, and a little bit of an errant ball there from the Fever, but Teague Neal managed to snatch it back in. Yeah, look, I don't think her hair's sweaty at all, Sue. I'm not happy with that one.
Oh, number 41 for Fowler. Nemart certainly being kept a little more quiet today. 91% accuracy though. Shy of where her season average is. Oh, hand from Fran Williams, pleads for the umpire, but it'll go to the Melbourne Vixens.
I get the feeling that Fever are just starting to put a little bit of pressure on themselves. Time is ticking away. 7 minutes to go in this quarter. They really need to start turning over some ball before it gets to the Power 5.
Well, the Melbourne Vixens adversely just playing really patient netball. Happy to move the ball around, but a little too much. And the look on Sophie Garvin's face said it all. So Dehaney, player of the match last week, she certainly had a battle today. Just finding a way in the last. 8 the difference. The Fever convert this back to 7, their centre pass. Teague Neal. Wilkinson, the long ball, mid-range, and they deliver.
This was so smart from Katie Ann Dehaney. Have a look at that Harminoan replay. She just came off the body. She knew where the ball was going. An easy, clean intercept for her.
So an 11-7 quarter, the way of the Fever, which has chipped that scoreline back to 7. HCF tactical timeout called by the Melbourne Vixens. The Fever will return with the centre pass. This game's still to be played out. 6:22 on the clock. And Simone McInnes will steady the ship.
Let's keep the movement going. Let's keep going for the depth. Even though you might not get it, keep that depth and that we're coming to the ball, not across. Keep that ball moving. Off the sideline, strong and definite.
Can we stop taking it and then we're all...
Just be aware now, it's all Alice has gone through and following it. So angle yourself, it's hands, but it's angle for that next one. And we're putting close and opposite. Have a crack.
Let's go, bring it in. Bring it in here.
Keep the movement strong and definite.
We're in front here. We keep scoring off our ball and I reckon we can lift our defensive pressure. Really put them under pressure here. Our game, score off our ball. Mix on D. 1, 2, 3.
Well, nothing like a captain's rev up right as they need it. The Melbourne Vixens, well, it wasn't really a rev, was it? It was more just reinforcing where they're at and where they maybe can just take their game to another level defensively. But we get back into it. 6:17 on the clock. West Coast Fever don't come out of the tactical timeout in the fashion they would have liked. And the Melbourne Vixens here can just settle. Possession is the name of the game for them over the next 6 minutes. Courage for the West Coast Fever. Maloney out wide, good depth from Austin. They close down the offload to Garvin, but then Austin goes again. Good pressure from Dehaney, but Kira Austin, well, she's my player of the match. Well, not that I get to call it, but she's certainly my player of the match. Been unbelievable.
Yeah, look, I don't want to give her the yips here, but she shot 18 from 18. Every time that she gets the ball in her hand, she just steadies the ship. She's been unbelievable tonight, and not particularly flashy, just doing her job. Oh, I did give her the yips.
Where you are.
Well, it won't matter though. She finds the rebound, and that will absolutely please Coach Simone McInnes. Just being able to come out of that tactical timeout and shift the momentum button on the Fever. And whilst the Fever lead this quarter, they are now forced to do this. Fowler Nemard, crowd wooing her on, and she does exactly what she's going to have to do between her and Wilkinson over the next 5 minutes. 7 the difference. Garvin high on the lead. Maloney wants the ball back, wants to steady it. Look at the captain here. Give it to me again. And again, give it to me again. Oh, and instead it goes straight to Dehaney. So the West Coast Fever are going to have to play a high-risk, high-reward game here. Fowler Nemard. Obstruction, goalkeeper. In the 2. No, it's in the 1, so they'll play again. Wilkinson moves herself to the 2. Pressure. Doesn't deliver, and the rebound goes to Mannix. Fowler Nemard nowhere to be seen in that moment. Jail moment if they can score here, the Melbourne Vixens.
Well, Katie Dehaney, she came out, she had to chew at that one a little bit too late. The Vixens, really important here that they don't stop attacking. They can't defend this lead. They need to keep driving the ball hard like what Simone McInnes said from the last break. Keep that movement, keep that depth. Otherwise, Fever are going to open up opportunities for themselves.
Well, they still can have a crack here, the West Coast Fever, but they will have to be flawless and unbelievably accurate in this range. Fowler Nemard again. From a moment ago to this, out the side, but the post shakes it in. Suncorp Super Shop drops the scoreline again back to 6. Weston and Mannix. Love watching the captain Maloney in these moments. Fran Williams out hunting. Just smart from Kira Austin. Do you know what? She could have gone to Garvin in that moment, and she said, no, I'm just going to take the patience here and attack the post.
Oh, big opportunity for the Fever here.
Well, Garvin, that was an enormous offensive rebound. With 2:38 on the clock, that's the rebound of the game for me, and this will be the goal. The Melbourne Vixens take their scoreline to 70. And is it almost unthinkable here for the Fever? Backwards, forwards. Fowler Nemard out. Livia Wilkinson too much on it, and that's what pressure does. The Melbourne Vixens game plan has been flawless today. Quick hands, Garvin and Austin, terrific. This shooting combination. And a big sigh of relief for the Melbourne Vixens as they'll take 2 minutes of play here and should really enjoy it.
Yeah, and why not? Bouncing back from the loss last week, I think they can take so much confidence that tonight they probably didn't have their preferred starting 7, yet they managed to find a way against the undefeated team in the league.
Absolutely, and they'll continue to push the score on the board. Back out now to a 9-goal lead. And the West Coast Fever tried to be gallant, but it's come unstuck. Their game's simply not there. Monstered in the second and the third. after a really great opening first quarter. The Melbourne Vixens will play out this last minute 20.
Contact, goal defence.
And gee, late challenge from Fran Williams.
Time.
If it was football, it would be called in the back. So they'll wipe the court here, and Simone McInnes surely. A smile goes on the face.
Single two. Goal defence, just be mindful of timing.
Yeah, Kira Austin there, a little bit ginger getting up. I think she fell just right on her kneecap, which is obviously not fun.
Obstruction advantage.
So Sophie Garvin, 45 goals, 3 misses for her. And that is a lady who's would have taken the pressure on her shoulders last week after a home loss to the Lightning. Sorted out the game plan, and the players have played it out perfectly. 50 seconds here. Austin from 2 to really make things hurt. Rebound. Well, it tips, it taps, and it topples into the hands of Garvin.
It's just not falling the way of the Fever, is it, in the last few minutes here? Everything going for the Vixens. The rebound there, the missed shot, which Garvin then picks up.
Well, the Fever have been owning the quarter, but look at that now. The last 5 to the Melbourne Vixens. And I don't think we should underestimate, as Olivia Wilkins slots in another 2, how big a win this is for the Melbourne Vixens. The offensive contact goes on Hannah Mundy to come across to Perth in front of 11,000 fans and do this. Mundy, desperation, Deganey. The clock ticks down, 3 seconds to play out. It's an intercept feast, but at the end of the day, the Melbourne Vixens prove that no one is invincible as Sophie Garvin slots in a final Suncorp super shot to win the game by 11 for the Melbourne Vixens. Enormous.
Have a look here, ping pong in the last few minutes, but Sophie Garvin manages to get that shot away. Almost basketball-esque, because she's been watching her sister Darcy Garvin shooting, but absolutely incredible finish. What a finish for the Vixens.